Hello and welcome. I'm Castile, and this is the Castilian. Today I will be starting my Origin Stories series, going over a character origin story, that of the fallen angel Kazimir. This video is the first video of my series. First, a warning. This story involves mature themes, such as violence and swearing. Please listen only if you are comfortable. With that, let's get started on this story. Get yourself some popcorn, blankets, and relax. There was no beginning. There never was one. There was always millions of them. Some had names, others had titles, but most commonly, God. They had their own things they did, stuff ruled. Some created dimensions. Some made galaxies. One of the many multi-dimensional gods grew tired of the lack of company that they had received. While there were millions of them, not many spent time with each other. The bored being decided to create their own life, something the other gods had never experimented with. For many of the gods were more interested in making their own territories more beautiful with their own eyes, not interested in others' judgment. This first creation was named Michael. When I say Michael was created, I do not mean that this creation was given a physical body, only given a soul. A ball of light with the ability to shift into whatever they wanted. If he wanted to be given a title, God would have named him their first archangel. And this first angel took the appearance of a gigantic beast with a small snout, sharp yet delicate ears, flowing dusty mane, dark brown feathered wings, and sleek tails. While he enjoyed the company of God, he too was lonely and wanted archangels like him. God, seeing their only son consumed by the loneliness they once knew, presented Michael with the gift of life. Michael, with this gift, created 3 siblings for himself. Gabriel, the 4-legged, 4-armed, 3-tailed, fur-covered winged angel with the hood protruding from his neck. Lucifer, the lanky, long-legged and armed angel with powerful wings made of thick skin. 2 pairs of horns, 2 tails, and a coarse mane that led up to his sharp, toothy grin. Lastly, there was Kazimir, long-beaked with fluffy soft ears, long-necked, 4-legged, feather-winged angel with long tail feathers. Michael was first thrilled by all of his new brothers. At least that was until God gave him all the gifts. Gabriel was given the gift of being God's right-hand angel when communicating with other gods. Kazimir the gift of deep thought, able to look deeper past the exterior emotions. And Lucifer was given the gift of creativity, being able to design plants, planets, and so much more. Michael decided to see what all his brothers could do, and set up a meeting with God, hoping to please his parent. From Michael's hands appeared a ball of clay. He blew life into it. The clay morphed and began to breathe. Gabriel presented to God all the scrolls of peace from the other gods. And Lucifer sauntered over to Michael and took the clay from his hands, shaping the clay into a dove and releasing it into the sky, watching it fly into the heavens. Kazimir made his way to God and looked into the blinding light. Kazimir had nothing to offer, and Michael and Gabriel's eyes burned upon their brother, the glare scorching his face. In embarrassment, the archangel fled, only to be followed by Lucifer. Under the disguise of peace and forgetfulness, Lucifer and Kazimir created Earth, the underworld, and multiple galaxies they would rule over, a so-called gift to their god. But this was no gift to God. only experiment for the two to see if they could live on their own without the rulership of God. Sculpted partly from Lucifer's appearance was the creation of man, and with the first action of the coup, Lucifer tricked Michael into breathing life into man. Lucifer, upon seeing Michael activate his gift, slashed his brother and stole the breath of life. But Kazimir never had followed through on his part, the part of taking out Gabriel, his mind overthinking everything that could possibly happen. Thus, only Lucifer was cast down. Lost and defeated, Lucifer began to create his own world, the underworld. Using the stolen gift of life, Lucifer formed an abomination that was only known as Leonard. Back up with the archangels, not long after Lucifer was cast down, Kazimir had started to saunter down. God and Michael had created new angels, but they were much more bright. While the other original archangels were shades of browns, the angels were often shades of bright yellows. Kazimir felt more and more apart from the angels and his two archangel brothers, taking more and more trips down and far away from them all. He would often gaze down upon earth, fascinated by the humans Lucifer and him had formed not so long ago. Gabriel and Michael were starting to see how Kazimir cared less and less about his role as an archangel, and brought it to God. God, having barely any care for their son, just cast him down without a second thought. And as the archangel fell, black dripped from his beak, his feathers became rugged. Betrayed by his own parent and brothers, Kazimir decided to let himself fall to earth, where he would do much more studying upon the humans, the fascinating and interesting humans. The injuries from the fall never healed, nor did the scars from Michael and Gabriel, adorned on his face, and from his mouth seeped blackness. Even when he took the form of a human, the injuries never mended. In his original form, his once brown feathers became black, and his dark cream chest became gray. His beak dyed with the blackness. In this human-like form, his skin was gray, with black talons for hands and raven-black hair. Over his damaged face was the mask gifted to him by his brother, Lucifer. Through the hundreds of thousands of years, he watched the humans. Most importantly, the birds. Birds that were creatures Lucifer mostly had created when he thought of Kazimir. Their feathers and beaks said it all. Kazimir took a liking to them, seeing them almost as himself, and was never seen without a type of bird of prey perched on his shoulder. Though he never felt an attachment to humans, he was amazed as they grew more and more intelligent through the generations. He was most interested in how their thoughts could easily be manipulated by him, gifting them with part of his deep thought to them. He observed as the humans' thoughts would often wander into darkness, then fight with the belief of light. Though, whenever he was bored, he would let the light or dark thoughts manifest with more power, and this would create peace and tranquility, or it would create war and destruction. The fallen angel didn't seem to mind either way. He was amazed by the true kindness that the humans showed when the light was thought of, those more fortunate helping the less fortunate, young children playing ball in the streets made of rags, a kind couple helping a homeless man, a prince giving his partner the kiss of true love, He was also doubly amazed by those of true evil that the dark thoughts produced. Assassinations of kings by their truest friends, wars sweeping nations and creating only famine and death, the misfortune of families, and the list went on. The fallen angel found neither one more interesting than the other, deciding to rather feed light and dark thoughts into random humans. That went on until he was bored, and with this boredom brewed curiosity, and with this curiosity created an idea. That of what thoughts would go through the minds of humans if half of them didn't exist. So the fallen angel decided to test it and see what happened. He let his blackness, that dripped from his mouth, infect a rat, and before he knew it, the humans started dropping like flies. His plan had worked, but maybe too fast and too efficiently. The underworld, that had grown into quite an empire by now, was seeing the amount of humans dying, and sent a messenger up to put an end to what was happening. The long-necked, multiple-tongued, fearsome beast stared up at the fallen angel. This was the first time Kazimir had ever seen a demon, one of Lucifer's creations. While he was invested in learning about the being, he felt something he had never felt before, that of fear. The demon looked up into the sky to see the winged creature swirling above, birds gathering all around him. The leader of the fowl waded through the air before pausing and staring down at the demon. Unseen eyes, and yet a mutual understanding was known. A metamorphosis took place, the past angel returning in his pure form and leaving the humanoid one behind. Long talons reached out as the dark being drove down. The demon dug its claws into the ground to plant itself in place and brace for impact from the attack. And an impact that it was. The talons sunk deep into the soft fat and scales of the demon's bright teal neck. White blood coated the angel's nails as it flew black into the air. But the angel didn't get too far. From the air it fell. The large shard of the demon's bright antler stuck into his wing. Both were gravely injured, but it is widely known that a bird that cannot fly is as good as dead. The demon had won this round, and that was accepted among the two, as the angel rolled back onto its claws and hung its head in defeat as it wandered into the woods to mend to its wounds. From a distance, the fallen one observed as the demon had accustomed itself to the human world. He, though, had a want for revenge against the demon that had made him look so pathetic. But Kazimir knew he stood no chance in battle against that beast. So, he instead decided to use planning to defeat his foe. A war that would be known for centuries, a war that would bring end to the white monster. For no one disrespected an angel, even if that angel was one of the fallen. But revenge would have to wait, for the past angel had started to witness the start of resistance. An age of rebirth, an age focused on the subjects Kazimir so greatly admired of the humans and himself. Those of art, philosophy, literature, and things he believed that made humans only a bit more interesting than his beloved birds. He had taken a liking to the words of artists. On that particular, Fra Angelico, he decided to take a trip to visit this Italian artist to aid him in his work. The angel was fascinated by the idea of Christianity and listened to the artist's words of religion. Often, he would let the painter touch his long black feathers to allow for him to reference them for his work. The fallen one spread the wisdom of the fact that most archangels had brown wings, and yet he was silent on the fact of how angels did not look like humans one bit, he being the only exception. As the years passed, the angel stayed in the artist's side until he eventually passed in Rome. For once, he had found company in a human, and felt yet another feeling, a feeling of sadness. The angel visited many humans through the years, turning Galileo's eye to the sky, shaping Michelangelo's fingers to the clay, setting William's pen to the paper. But he had his chaotic side, one of which was driving Vincent mad, causing him to slice his own ear. Kazimir was the keeper and destroyer of peace, after all. After years of being bored, Kazimir decided to start his plan of revenge again. Kazimir caressed Gavril Princip as his head was pressed against his chest. The black liquid oozed from the dark angel's mask and fell upon Gavril's head. Later that day, the street screamed about the assassination of Arch Franz Ferdinand. Boaz, the name the demon had adopted, was one of the first to be notified of the oncoming armies heading towards France through Belgium, and he knew he needed to act. Over the past hundreds of years, he had taken residency in France and swore to protect it from any dangers, for it was his home and his people who treated him as if he was their guardian. Before the German army had passed completely through, the demon took a mighty stance. As hundreds of soldiers stared up at the large creature, they shook in their boots. The beast's very claws were longer than an average human leg, and the dulled, yellow, smiley mask only struck more fear into the army. It was a fast retreat, but still there was radical punishment towards the Germans, punishment that pestered them deeply for years. Kazimir, bored by the lack of action of this great war he had hoped to have happened, decided to once again form a plan against the demon. By this time, World War II had started, without his assistance, and he had watched as Boaz once again made an appearance. The humans had extracted Boaz's venom from his tail to do unholy things to each other, a leverage that Kazimir used against the demon. He sauntered down from the skies and proclaimed the evil that Boaz was, for he proclaimed the demon was only keeping that venom for the use of humans. He was a demon after all, and Kazimir, why, he was an angel. An angel was holy, while a demon must be cast to hell in which it came from. With his words of manipulation, the humans listened to what they thought was an angel, religion blinding them from the morality of which was holy. Loyalty was being thrown into the trash. The mask's eyes stared down at the humans, brutally stoned the very creature that had protected them for years, centuries even. After the death of his foe, Kazimir thought he had been in the presence of humans for far enough, and the fallen retreated to the society of the foul. Many years had passed, years kinder than the last. There were still wars, but none were as disastrous as the 2 world wars. The past angel, once again, became bored and returned to the tribes of the humans, quite amazed by all the advancements. On his shoulders perched 2 birds, that of Bubbly, the female harpy eagle, and Grisha, the male bearded vulture. Together, they became Kazimir's family. The fallen angel did not leave his hideaway for no reason, though. No, He had heard of a certain white-haired beast causing chaos in France. The curiosity of the angel made him want to explore and find this so-called smiling beast. And so, he made his way to France. On his journey to the European land, he did not find who he was looking for. Yet, he decided to become a detective of sorts to find this white weasel. He traced the footsteps of the beast, following the words of the townspeople. It wasn't until he made his way to the States that he finally found the exact location of the beast, Cherrytown. Upon making his entrance to the small town, Kazimir noted that there was no large creature in sight. Could this creature not be the demon? Surely it had to be. The smiling beast gave it away. Though, the Archangel did wonder again if his foe had come back to life from the stoning that he had received. But then again, this world is a mythical place. Who knows what could happen? But there was one rule that would make sure no creature would ever come back to life. And that rule is, if a soul is demolished, then the creature is abolished. Destroying the demon's body so many years ago did not demolish the being's soul, so perhaps the white-haired demon could still be alive. Kazimir's arms raised up, setting Grisha and Bubbly to the skies, which they flew. From above, they looked down upon the dirty and corrupt little town. Trash was on the streets, violence was rampant, and finally they spotted a small man with pale skin, curly cream hair, and bright teal horns. To their master they returned, bearing the news to him about their finding. The giant man knew from this point that this man had to be the same. The color of the hair, the bright teal horns, but still some things didn't add up. For why was the fearsome demon now a humanoid? And why did he retain some parts of his past body, while others he lost? Questions that the fallen one let dance around in his mind. But he knew what had to be done, what must become of his town, for his selfish revenge. A dark cloud blew over the small town, and the great archangel gently swayed down into the large park located in the heart of the cherry-filled town. The sight of the masked, black-winged, and huge man floating down from the sky was quite an eye-catching sight to the public. And sure enough, the demon was quick to show up. Upon the face of the demon was a mask so frightful it could cause a heart to clench. A thick, oozing liquid dripped down the white holes in which eyes were vacant of. Kazimir placed his feet upon the ground, and the shield upon his face glared at the demon. The sheer size difference between Kazimir and the demon was intimidating. Kazimir, a sturdy giant of 9 feet, while the demon quivered 2 feet below him. This demon, though he looked nothing like Boaz, had to be him. Revenge for the humans, though, had turned him mad. He was first to start the attack, 2 small claws reaching, grasping to damage the gray skin of his foe. But Kazimir had no use for such a petty fight. He knew that in this form he would be the victor. With a catch of his wild white hair, the demon was slammed into the ground. All the inhabitants of the small town must have heard the rumble. But the demon, much like a cockroach, couldn't be defeated in one blow. Buddy, and that was the name he had taken for himself now, was a sick twist on the name, for Buddy was no friend of anyone. His anger had overflowed him. And yet, in his mindscape of anger, he was unable to defeat the past archangel. 3 blows to the ground, and finally the demon stopped. He lay limp in the dirt, mud mixed with his white blood causing a gray-like mixture. His toothy grin slowly moved up to see the one who had defeated him. The gray giant was quick to banish the demon, never to come to the sight of Cherrytown or any other city. a punishment of loneliness and force, a punishment only earned due to the demon's lack of choice in the matter, and with that, the demon was gone. Kazimir, in a sense, was the new king of this small town. His burrs became the eyes of the town, watching every move. Unjust or just, it does not matter. Kazimir was the keeper and destroyer of peace. Everything was a flip of a coin, a choice left to chance. But with his unwavering eyes, the crime of Cherrytown did diminish. The once dirty and broken, crime-filled town was beginning to grow clean. Trees and forests grew around the town, and greenery was everywhere. The town was a sparkling gem now, and its residents lived in fear and tranquility, for they knew the strength of the fallen one. But yet they wondered, why was he fallen? Since he was fallen from the heavens, was he a demon? What exactly was this Kazimir? Two years had passed, and living in Cherrytown had become closeted and closed off from much of the rest of the world. Rarely did anyone leave, but rarely did anyone visit. Shops and businesses had lost so much attention that many had to shut down, and with a lack of jobs, a lack of crime, and a lack of attention, Cherrytown once again started to fall apart. Kazimir was still watching over the city, but rarely was he ever seen. Some people wondered if he had just left. Though, in the time past, a certain mechanic had been able to convince people that the fallen one had left and that they needed protection once again. With his convincing smirk, he was able to release his inventions into the small town. Then yet tall robots called Thaikas were adorned with multiple arms and weapons. They stood guard around the town, standing still and high as if they were light poles. Startling enough to make sure that the zero crime rate never grew. Winter came, and be it a saving grace or a curse, the demon made its appearance once again. Through the years, his appearance had changed quite a bit. His white locks were longer, his claws were sharper, and the strange bumps on his spine hid something. But, unlike his past aggressive and fearful self, he did not growl or cause fights as he walked along the streets. He walked with posture, walking to the park and sat down upon the snow-covered grass. The residents of Cherrytown stared upon the demon, but they also glanced to the Thaika guardians. The robots did nothing upon the sight of the demon, standing guard unmovingly. Soon the winged man made his appearance, gliding down beside the demon. The two sat side by side, no battle, no argument, just in peace. Together they spoke of the past and what was to come. Kazimir learned of Buddy's plan, a plan that involved taking rulership of the underworld. This underworld that his brother Lucifer had ruled. But Lucifer was not the person for the demon's anger. No, it was the right-hand man, Leonard. Him. Kazimir also learned that since Buddy was one of Lucifer's creations, he was, in a way, his brother's son. And with this, Kazimir found something he had never had before, a nephew. Agreement was formed, and Kazimir watched as his newfound family walked away. His heart clenched, for now he had an emotion he had never felt before. One of communication, care, and kindness for one of the same blood. Love. Thank you for listening to Kazimir's origin story. there will be more stories to come out. Next will be Boaz's story. I hope that you look forward to that. If you would like to get a notification next time it comes out, please hit the notification bell and subscribe below while you're at it. Also, hit the like button. That will help me tremendously. I hope that you guys have a wonderful day, and this is Castile from the Cast Castilian signing out.